Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru for that. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Media Watch. I'm your host, Dr. Savi. Now, every week we normally get a guest in and we cover the news from the week, and we also look at Sikh news as well. This week we thought we'd actually have an episode of reflection, a kind of best of, bringing you back wonderful guests that we have had an opportunity to talk to and meet and share ideas together. We hope you enjoy it, and we look forward to getting your feedback. If you'd like to send us your feedback, you can do that at info@sikhchannel.tv. And the purpose of the show is, I guess, into four parts. The first part really is to look at a major headline. Secondly, looking at news around the world. And thirdly, we look at Sikh news. And following on from the Sikh news, we want to make sure that we understand all there is about our heritage. So we look back in history this week, some time back, to understand and learn more about Sikhs and the rich heritage that we've actually got. So coming back to the main purpose of the show, the main purpose of the show is to reach out to the mainstream, to understand more around what's happening around the world, and to provide a news summary, more about commentating, less about being critical, but being more aware of what's actually happening and the impact that it has on our lives. The biggest thing that we have at the moment is to talk about that this happens to be the week of the 30th year of, we're commemorating the 1984 situation in Amritsar.
The question for us as people from the Sikh community is, what are we doing ourselves to ensure that these issues remain at the top or near the top of the agenda? Sikhs are an established community in this country. They've made a huge contribution. They have an entitlement to expect that issues which are close to their heart, painful issues like June 1984, painful issues are also recognized in the media as something that needs to be looked into. Now we need to have documentaries. We should have documentaries by Panorama and other investigative programs to say, let's go back into these issues and understand why a lot of Sikh people today, 30 years on, still feel such angst, such pain, such sense of effrontery about what had happened. Is it well-founded? Is it not well-founded? But you're right, it deserves more attention from the media.
Let's move on to the next part of the program, where we talk about some Sikh news around the world.
Yeah.
Tell us all about it. You do all your research during the week, don't you?
A little bit of a light-hearted one. There's been two street renamings. One in Turlock, California, a street's been renamed to Singh Walkway, and one in Brampton in Canada, where a street's been renamed to Gurdwara Gateway. So that's quite good news for the North American members of the Sikh family. They're catching up with us here in the UK. We've got quite a few streets.
Isn't there one called Castle Way, I think?
Yeah, there's quite a few that have been renamed. And also in other news, the Sikh Coalition has held its third briefing at the White House to discuss Sikh civil rights, and they focused on issues such as discrimination, airport profiling and bullying, and there's a good representation there by the government and their representatives from the Transport Security Administration.
Okay. TSA.
TSA. And there's been quite a few issues with that recently in America, so it's good that they're engaging with them on such a state level. And also, interestingly, out of the conference, the US Department of Justice has agreed to translate all of its bulletins into Punjabi and all of its key advice for helping with bullying into Punjabi to be available to Punjabi families. So that's very interesting.
One of the things that we've seen is that this kind of jihadists, and you said, are they the kind of the glory boys of the internet, where the organisation ISIS or ISIL or what do you want to call them, have effectively done really, really bad things, recorded it, put it on social networks. And what we've seen in the last few weeks is the Muslim community have come forward and they're actually fighting against that particular thought that that's what Muslims are about. They've got this hashtag called Not In My Name. Muslims from all different backgrounds are coming forward and saying that this organisation does not represent Islam. It is not a reflection of that peaceful religion.
No, it's a fair point, because, you know, I've seen the picture of somebody saying that the Ku Klux Klan guys were all, you know, they were all Christians, but that doesn't necessarily mean that what they did reflects Christianity, right? So in the same way with ISIS, I mean, from a Sikh point of view, we would agree with that, because we've obviously people like Madonna Ji, etc., represent to us like true Muslims, or even the Sufis, you know, they're the ones that we like. When it comes to people like ISIS, we've actually fought them in the past, so we know what they're like in a way as well. We know that they're not going to give up just because a few people, you know, talk about them badly. They don't care really what we out here in the West think. The only difference is that when they first came about, they became like the guys that are actually doing something, and there was a lot of Twitter, there was a lot of Facebook people following them and sharing their videos. and they were like the glory boys, you know. So at that point there was a kind of like a momentum towards them. But I think if the current trend of this not in my name and it's becoming very prevalent, then it may turn against them, because what you really need is for the mass of Muslims to reject this, right? But a lot of them, you know, everybody was complaining that the average Muslim, what do they say against this? That's the kind of general consensus you get from people saying, well, where are the masses of people that are actually complaining? I think if they do it very vocally, then other people will see that, and that will reassure them that actually IS is actually a militant, sort of a not unusual organisation. Because I'm sure I'm speaking for, not I'm speaking for a lot of people, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that actually believe that all what IS are doing is actually like true Islam. And have they got confused about Islam? So they think, okay, the guys here, they're very peaceful, but is this actually what they really believe deep down under? And I think if they come out vocally and say, no, it's not, then that would be good for the Muslim community in general.
The unveiling of the statue in Gravesend, 8 foot high, bronze statue of a turbaned Sikh soldier known as the late squadron leader, Mr. Puji, Mahinder Singh Puji, DFC.
It's I think, a monumental achievement, and it's been a collective community achievement over the last 3 years. How I became involved, about 3 years ago, I was approached to lead on the initiative, to try to get a consensus with the council, which at that point in time it was a Labour council, so I knew the council leader and other senior council colleagues.
So this must cost money to do, right?
Yes,
so
no, definitely.
Where do you get the money from that?
I'll elaborate further in that that I was asked to build a consensus, you know, with the council, because we wanted something in the town centre. Also to try to build a consensus with the Sri Guru Nanak Darbar Gurdwara. So what happened was that I spoke with the Gravesend Gurdwara. They eventually acquiesced on their stance, which was they were going to build a statue once they'd finished with the Gurdwara building itself within the Gurdwara premises. But then they said, as long as the wider community feels that it can be in the town centre, then we will acquiesce to that demand. When I approached the council leader, John Bird, and other senior colleagues, gradually it became apparent that a consensus could be built if it was the statue was of Squadron Leader Mahinder Singh Puji. And he was important because he was a local war hero.
Okay.
A highly decorated, decorated with a distinguished flying cross for his immense bravery and services to our country. And because he was a Gravesend resident and he actually breathed his last in Gravesham as well, everybody was unanimous that that's something that they could proceed with. Even though it wasn't my idea, I think it was an honour to be able to lead it during my mayoral term. And we actually raised, Dr. Savi, £70,000 within a month.
That's amazing. And
that's largely thanks to the contributions and the efforts of the council, and in particular the Sri Guru Nanak Darbar Gurdwara and the wider community leaders. I think it should be pointed out that while the lion's share was collected from within the Sikh community, and we actually went door to door, the likes, and calling upon major businesses and other families within our area, and I do thank them for having accepted my request, but £1,000 was actually donated by the Gravesend and Dartford Muslim Association. Right. Another £1,000 was donated by the Gravesham Historical Society. So you can see that it's a wider community. Definitely, and it will help
and it's something
integrate.
That, if you look at it, it's fantastic where it's positioned as well, with the water at the back, and it's a prominent position. Rightly
said. I think that's where the council and the Puji family as well.
It was good. I think his son was there as well, wasn't it?
Oh yes, his son and his daughter and nephew, and it's a very beautiful location. It's right next to the River Thames, next to the town pier and the market.
That's great.
It's visible from the main road, but it's not just a statue of Squadron Leader Mahinder Singh Puji. It's there to symbolise the efforts from all of those communities from around the world that contributed to Britain and sacrificed.
A little bit about it. It's actually something about salvage, isn't it?
It is about salvage, but it's more to do with being able to recycle and reuse existing equipment. So in the days gone by, you used to have Pentium machines, and you used to be able to say, well, we can only take certain level of machines. And Before we used to send large monitors which used a lot of electricity.
The big, gigantic monitors, now we've got flat ones.
Now we're using flat screen. People are donating those, and they're using less electricity. So one of the projects we've done in Africa is that we've managed to take an old container and make it into what you call a cyber cafe.
Right.
But what we're doing is putting that into rural areas. We've reduced the amount of dependency on electricity because we put solar panels on the outside.
So a container is the thing that goes on the back of a lorry, isn't it? A big
That's
truck
right,
kind of
or
thing,
going on a ship where you put stuff in with goods. But the idea is that you convert that, it goes pre-built from the UK with all the necessary components. And it has solar panels on the roof, which generates the electricity. We're using low energy usage machines, screens as well. And that's enabling then putting on top of the thing a VSAT connection, which is a satellite connection.
So you get
giving
an internet connection
via satellite.
Right, okay.
So which effectively means that people in rural areas who will have issues around power, who will have issues around telecommunication, are now being enabled to do things. And that's brought IT literacy to the rural areas. Now, if we could do the same thing in India or somewhere else, I think it would be a real plus.
It would change people's lives, wouldn't it?
It will fundamentally change it because people will have access to IT literacy, which these days, unless you have that, you're not going to be able to get a job. And also the fact is that they'll be able to look at ways to improve their own lives. Greatest thing is, if they're in a rural area, is agriculture. If they know what the weather's going to be like, they can plan things. Simple things like that. But in rural areas also, out towards the coastline, people are using smartphones. The fishermen use it to work out when the tides are, so they can then maximize their catch and things like that.
So we'll come back to it, and then I think the website for Computer Aid is computeraid.org.
That's correct. www.computeraid.org.
So if you work for a company, one of the things I recommend is that you do go out there and find out what the salvage policy is, and I'm sure Computer Aid would be happy to take computers and actually, if they don't work, they can salvage them and make them work.
We have a policy that if a machine is donated and it doesn't work, we will try to salvage as much as possible, and that tends to be in the order of about 80 to 90%.
Okay, you can take the boards out or make another screen or make another computer.
Well, some people donate monitors, some donate mice, some keyboards, and we put it all together.
Fantastic.
And we've shipped to the developing world close to 300,000 fully built computers.
That's incredible. Yeah. Very good. Let's move on to the next part of the show where we actually look at, I wanted to point out one particular article that I came across, and we were talking about smartphones in particular. This is with regards to the Save the Children Fund, who have actually put together, with professional photographer Michael Christopher Brown, Syrian teenagers have been given mobile phones, and they've taken photographs of the actual camp that they're in, which is known as the Zatari camp. You might have seen it on the news. Not that much press coverage, and that's really my question. I know you're involved in a lot of charity work, but do you think that the world is kind of, especially, I mean, this is a media watch show, are we obsessed with sensationalism? Are we obsessed with news for a very short period of time? Here we've got kids who've got their mobile phones who are taking photographs of the real situation, the real problems that are out there. Are they going to get any press coverage for that, apart from an odd article here and there?
Well, I think it's that they are going to, because if you take the BBC's programme, News Round.
This was featured on the BBC website.
And if you think about that it's children who are showing what it's like for them on a day-to-day basis. The challenge, any organisation which is doing fundraising or raising awareness through advocacy work and so on, is actually getting images. Because as we know, an image will tell far more than the written word. And if we've got young news journalists, as I call them, right,
citizen journalism in one sense, isn't it?
Yeah, you're right, citizen journalism. But I think it's important that these are real children who are suffering at this moment, and the Western press just isn't sharing enough. If it was somewhere else, I think it'd be a different situation. But it's a bit like Michael Burke, and when I know that we're coming up to the 30 years of Band-Aid and so on. If you think about the storyline Michael Burke brought up 30 odd years ago, today we have similar situations, right? Not in terms of starvation in the camps, but I'm sure there is, because some of those people will not be getting the right type of food and the right amounts.
A lot of builders will use migrant workers and not necessarily pay them their worth. What are councils doing these days in terms of kind of looking at the governance of not necessarily following standards in terms of what's been laid down, the amount of construction projects that are going on, whether it be people that have bought land and rebuilding their house, or they've bought land and rebuilding it and putting loads of flats there. Quite a lot of the workers, quite interesting actually, it's not just a UK problem. If you go to places like Dubai, there are problems there where people are coming over from India, working there, not getting paid very much, working really, squalid conditions, and then exploited, and then they go back. But they're getting more money there than they would necessarily in their own country. Do you think that we have a similar thing in the UK? Do you think there are a lot of people living together and not necessarily, getting paid what they're worth, and builders exploit that? Because I remember a few years ago I was talking to health and safety executive I was at a conference to do with another subject, and there happened to be someone there, and she was saying to me that, people have accidents and problems, and, people are not necessarily given, safety goggles, or, and I'm not saying that the people that are working don't ask for it, but isn't it the right of the builder who's employing these people to say, I want to protect this person, rather than put him up a ladder, which is a bit wobbly, and the guy might fall off,
I think the onus, really, it's for the builder, as you said, in that circumstance, who's employing them to take on that responsibility. But in the same, from their perspective, and I know it happens everywhere. I know we have cleaners, nannies, builders. In most kind of domestic jobs, we have people that are here, are being exploited, are getting money cash in hand, so it's not being declared, they're not in the system, so nothing can be done. Now, if they then come forward and say, we're being exploited for X, Y, Z reason, but you can't expect the same protection as a normal person in this country.
They've got a catch-22 situation, because if they come forward, then it's a risk to them.
To be set back.
In the same way that, the people who are actually employing them are actually saying, well, you better not say anything, and I'm going to pay you the going rate. It works two ways, doesn't it?
But if they've got a genuine reason, then I think, if we could cry out to them and say to them that, yes, you should come forward, then that is the message I'd be saying to all of them. If you've got a genuine reason why you can't return to the country you've come from, then of course come forward. We're a welcoming country here. Everything will be done to try and make their asylum application, if it be that, whatever sort of application they're trying to put in, to help them through the process. But if you've come here and you know full well that you could be living a similar or same life, and you've only come because the grass looked green on the other side, or you did want to benefit from the welfare system and so forth, then, you would be caught out by the system, and unfortunately you can be, and you will be in that catch-22 situation, because you've got to make money, you've got to feed yourself, and if this is the only route you've got, you don't have much of a...
It's easy for according to the data, 583,000 people, might as well say 500,000, immigrated to the UK last year, and an increase of 45,000 from the EU and 30,000 from outside. Now, I wonder if this is purely just a distraction, rather than focusing on the real issues about the NHS or how we fund public services.
Sure. Well, look, I think rather than being a distraction, I think it's a very core issue. And the reason why it is a core issue is because, as you said, the NHS is important, the economy is important, and of course public services are important. And of course, immigration in such high numbers has a huge impact on how the government is able to deliver services in the NHS, public services, schools for our children, care for our elderly, and of course healthcare for the sick.
There's another argument that says that as we're coming out of recession, whatever that means, and what figure you believe in terms of percentages, the reason why people want to come here is not to be a burden on benefits or whatever people are talking about, is because the country is becoming more wealthy and it needs resources. And we know that people who do come in, immigrants, whatever you want to call them, do contribute to the kind of the well-being of the country, not only in terms of culture, but also in terms of how the country becomes richer, in terms of generating more revenue, more opportunities, becoming entrepreneurs, all those kind of great things, all the energy that they bring with them.
Well, of course, look, we always want to attract the brightest and the best in the world, because we are a country that's always been moving forward. And it's not only been because of indigenous people, but because of immigrants. I mean, look at our own community itself. We've come here, we've made a name for ourselves, and we punch above our weight. Of course, we want the best and the brightest to come here. But at the same time, you also have to realize that we have a lot of immigration from Eastern Europe. And what that is doing effectively is, A, keeping wages down, And in some ways, of course, also creating competition for local people here that have already been here perhaps for far longer. Or
a lot of people there. They're really interesting people. Everybody was friendly. It was really nice.
Fantastic. So, you're going to play for us, acoustic, yeah, which would be really good.
Sure.
Play us something. I know I heard one of your songs, which is really good.
Yeah.
And we got our mics and everything set up, so you're going to do it acoustic this time, not on electric?
Yeah, I'll do acoustic this time.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah, this is a song that I wrote about a year ago. So we'll see.
So tell us what it's called and.
It's called Sorry.
Okay.
It's called Sorry. So it's a very, very basic, simple song. It's just it was an outlet for me at the time. So we'll play this, see how it goes.
Go for it. Yeah.
Not the type of guy who can write something down and mean it. I'm not the type of guy who can put into words what I'm feeling so good. I'm not the type of guy who can say it and feel it. I'm the type of guy who has to sing it out loud to feel it, to mean it. That's why I have to sing this to you and say I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I may not show it, but deep down inside, I cry. I may not show it, but deep down inside, I ask why. And now I understand I gotta change. But please don't ask me to be somebody I'm not. That must be why you think I don't care. Please don't think that. It's just I show things a little differently. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I just show things a little differently to show how I care. I'm sorry. Oh.
Very good stuff. Well done. Absolutely brilliant. Thanks a lot for coming on. Well, we hope you enjoyed the clips that we had, and as you can see, we had a wide variety of guests, from musicians to politicians to lawyers to people that are really interested in sharing their opinions about the world. And that's what makes the world a better place, that we're effectively all different and we're all equal, and we all have rights to share and learn together. So join me for the next season of Media Watch. If you'd like to contact us, you can do that, as I said before, at info@seekchannel.tv. Want to go to Twitter, and you can look at the hashtag MediaWatch signature. That signature allows you to see any discussions or comments that are taking place. So we'll see you next time. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.